camp, those doing outdoor activities this summer, they need to make sure to prepare and take precautions, Cedric, because this heat can be dangerous.
Yes, it can, Latrice. And of course, you want to start hydrating throughout the day, early in the morning and going throughout the day, not waiting until you're thirsty, because by that time you're really already dehydrated out there. And of course, you want to make sure you have that sunscreen as well. That's another thing to keep in mind. But overall, the weather is, we'll call it somewhat of a decent summer-like day for you today, with these temperatures right now at the lunchtime hour in the upper 70s to low 80s. So we're not dealing with those mid to upper 80s at lunchtime. So that lets us know it's going to be a little cooler than it has been, especially last weekend and the week prior. But still, it's summertime out there, right? So we've got these dew points in the low to mid 60s. That's a measure of how much moisture is in the air. Not quite in the 70s like it has been, but still just a smidge of humidity out there. So we do have a little bit of a heat index, but it's not oppressive for us this afternoon, which is some good news. That will change as we go into the next several days, though. So it feels like it's 85 for the warm spot right now in Athens. 81 is what it feels like in Fort Payne. 82 in Dalton, Cleveland, and Chattanooga. And look at Altamont, feeling like it's 78 comfortable degrees, I guess you could say, up that way. So we have some scattered clouds locally. We've had some severe weather over the past 24 hours off to our north and northwest across the midsection of the country. All these white dots here indicate wind damage reports that were coming in throughout the past 24 hours. The red dots indicating tornado reports coming in over Kansas. And then, of course, here in the Gulf of Mexico, down towards the Bay of Campeche here, we've got Tropical Storm Alberto here that has finally formed, officially getting the name. And it is about to make landfall here into north central portions of Texas as we go throughout the day. You can see some of that heavy rainfall over southeastern Texas here. So the latest with this, winds of 40 miles per hour. It's moving to the west at 9 miles per hour. So again, this is going to move directly into portions of Mexico as we go throughout really the next 24 hours. But it's not so much the center where this storm is going, because on the north and northeastern side of this storm, it's pulling up all that tropical moisture off of the Gulf of Mexico, and that's pointing it towards the Texas coastline. So while the storm is going to make its way into Mexico, the moisture is going to make its way into southern Texas, and that's where we could be talking about some heavy rainfall. So you see that track of that storm going into Mexico, but you also see where the heavy rainfall is going to be forming. Places like Corpus Christi down towards Brownsville, Texas, could see anywhere from 6 to 12 inches of rainfall with this system, even though it's making landfall in central Texas. Now, I know what you're asking. What about us? Will we see some rainfall? Well, it's going to be pretty bleak in terms of the rain outlook locally. Here's long-range futurecast showing us high pressure, still that heat dome is kind of the center of the forecast as we go throughout the next few days. But as we get towards maybe, let's say, Monday or so, we may have a weak front trying to make its way in that could start to squeeze off a couple of isolated storms. But it's going to be, again, isolated in nature. You can kind of see the heavy rainfall really down towards southern Texas. But do note, as we get towards Monday or so, there is at least a chance we can see a little bit of rainfall here in the Tennessee Valley. I wouldn't get too excited, because still the big story over the next few days, as I mentioned, is this heat dome kind of reestablishing itself as we head towards the end of the week, heading into the weekend. And that is going to mean, yes, some heat starting to rise again, along with that humidity. And so very similar to last weekend, we're looking at another weekend where we're going to be talking about some very hot conditions. So a mixture of sun and clouds as we go throughout the afternoon. Temperatures upper 80s to low 90s. So still somewhat in check, even though this is still above average. We'll go with 91 in Cleveland, 90 in Dalton, 90 in Scottsboro, and about 85 degrees in Blue Ridge. But as we take a look at the Storm Alert 7-day forecast, you'll see that 91 for today turns into about 96 on Friday, 97 on Saturday. So it's going to get hotter as we go into the weekend. And with some of that humidity, feels like temperatures will be in the triple digits. And cross your fingers, Latrice, by the time we get towards the beginning of next week, potentially a few isolated pop-up showers and storms. So we'll hope for that by that time.
Yeah, we'll need it. Our yards and our flowers will need that. Thank you, Cedric.